So in today's video, I'm gonna break down the 5 vicious stages of how pornography gets you addicted and the negative impact it is having on your body. I just hope that those of you watching are only at stage 3 of this vicious cycle, because by the time you hit stage 4 and 5, it's probably too late. But how pornography works doesn't start at the addiction cycle. It starts with the girl on the camera. You see, when a girl becomes a teenager, she's gonna start getting flooded with attention from men on Instagram and TikTok due to her appearance. For some girls, this attention will become the foundation of their self-worth, and this is what leads them to a platform where they can get as much attention as possible, OnlyFans. You see, in the past, only the most hardcore woman would consider joining the porn industry. But today, everyday girls, even the ones you probably know or maybe have a crush on, are trying it out. They join because they want validation, but on top of that, they have men willing to pay her $5 to $10 just to see her naked. This leads to more girls creating profiles, more men signing up, and then more low-quality women like the one you see on podcasts like Whatever and Fresh and Fit, creating a never-ending vicious cycle. Then, boys as young as 11 start using apps like TikTok, which act as a jump ramp into finding apps like OnlyFans. It is here where these boys start to see social pornography for the first time. And here is where the addiction begins. Let's start in step 1, initial use. You see, as boys become men, we naturally start to develop this natural drive for sex. This is a good thing. This is crucial for reproduction and the survival of the human race. So when you're this young and you have sex, your body produces dopamine. It makes you feel good, so you want to do it again. This is what keeps driving the human race and keeps us reproducing. However, this good system can be hijacked and misdirected. To put this into perspective, when you eat food, your dopamine increases by 150%. When you play video games, it increases by 175%. If you were to do a drug like cocaine, it would increase by 450%. When you have sex, it increases by 200%. And when you watch porn, it increases to 175%. Which means that an 11-year-old boy at home can experience the same dopamine increase that a man in the past would potentially get from meeting a woman, getting to know her, risking rejection, and taking her to dinner. This marks step 1 of the addiction cycle, initial use. But to really understand how pornography works and why you just can't quit, you need to understand the other 4 steps, especially number 4, because it completely changed how I look at everything else I do in my life. Step 2. Abuse. Another factor that increases dopamine is novelty, which refers to how something new feels when you experience it the first time. That's why it feels good when you try something new for the first time, but it never feels quite as good the second or third time. When it comes to porn, however, every tab and video you open or new video you watch becomes a new form of novelty, which means that unlike regular sex, which causes a spike in dopamine and then regulates and decreases down, watching porn can sustain higher dopamine levels for longer with every new tab that you open. This is what leads men to use porn every time they want to feel good, when they're sad, angry, or even bored, which if you're there, it means that you're in the second step of the cycle, and it's abuse. It is also during this abuse stage that men will also start experiencing symptoms of one of porn's more severe side effects, erectile dysfunction. This is literally when your junk stops working, and many men might think, Jose, there is no way that something on the screen can impact me physically. Think again. Because before 2002, only up to 3% of men were dealing with erectile dysfunction. Today, in 2024, we're up to 35% of men deal with erectile dysfunction. And you want to know what started to become mainstream in the 2000s during this period? You guessed it, pornography. Now, you have to understand, before you freak out, there are 3 levels of erectile dysfunction that gets progressively worse. Fortunately, if you're only at stage 2 of this addiction cycle, then you should probably only be experiencing level 1 of erectile dysfunction. Level 1 is when you can get an erection, but sometimes you might not be able to sustain it through sex. And this is an experience, before you freak out, that over 50% of men will experience at some point in their life. Now, the good news is that fixing level 1 is quite simple. A study from Harvard found that you just walking 30 minutes a day reduced level 1 symptoms in up to 41% of men. So you want to make it a habit to walk for at least 30 minutes, either in the morning or in the evening, and you should start seeing results. However, for the 59% of you that might not see results, you might have to take an extra extra step to something a little bit more powerful, like therapy from our sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online platform that puts you in touch with licensed professionals that are there to help you whenever it's convenient. Because let's be real, when you're dealing with this issue, you won't talk to your friends about it, you won't talk to your parents about it, but you need somebody in your corner. And with BetterHelp, you just answer a few questions on their questionnaire, and they can pair you with that perfect friend that you can now talk to, and talk to them about your addiction to pornography and how it's completely destroying you mentally or physically or whatever it is that you're dealing with, so they can help you walk through it. This takes us to step 3 in the addiction cycle: dependence. Here is when men will start using porn to cope with negative emotions like depression, anxiety, and boredom. Now, if he wanted to overcome these feelings in a positive way, it would be best for him to use meditation or exercise. But I'm going to show you why this might not work for you. Using the same graph we saw earlier, a person who exercises will see a 150% increase in dopamine, while a person who meditates will see a 160% increase. Both of these take time and energy to get to, and neither of them increases dopamine more than just watching pornography. Also, both meditation and exercise decrease over time. Pornography doesn't. So, this is why when you're feeling down, you have two choices. You can get up, meditate, and exercise, or just pull out your phone and watch some pornography to feel better. The problem here is twofold. First, you now become dependent on pornography to start feeling better. And second, you'll need to watch something different every single time to feel just as good. This is what leads you to the level 2 of erectile dysfunction. The second level of erectile dysfunction is when you can't even get it up right before sex. Level 2 comes from heavy porn use, because your mind becomes so dependent on the unrealistic bodies you see online that you no longer find real life women bodies attractive. This level is when things start to become serious, and if you don't treat it properly, it can leave you feeling alone and depressed for the rest of your life. Now, to treat level 2 naturally, you want to start walking 30 minutes a day, like level 1 guys did, but you also need to start lifting weights. By lifting weights, you're gonna start naturally increasing your testosterone level, which is gonna naturally make you more interested sexually in the women around you. On top of that, you're also gonna naturally start losing weight, and this is important because studies have found those men that have a 32-inch waistline are 50% less likely to deal with erectile dysfunction than men that are overweight and had a 42-inch waistline or larger. Now, if that doesn't work, you need somebody to talk to. You cannot do this on your own. Clearly, you're losing the battle. BetterHelp can find you that person. And the cool thing with BetterHelp is when you get linked with somebody to talk to, if that person doesn't feel right, you feel uncomfortable, you can always just keep changing, because they have thousands of therapists until you find that right person that you connect with, that there's synergy with, and you can open up about your issues so they can help you walk through it.